What's up, collectors? Today I wanted to do a review on a specific figure or figures from the Halo Clash in the Ring series of blind bag figures. So this is a brand new bag. Let's get right into it. We're going to cut carefully into the bag, and inside we have the flood. So in each bag of flood you should get 5 infection forms, and then they should also have their little tentacle pieces, I guess you'd call them, for the fronts of their faces. As you can see here, they're very rubbery and squishy, and they're a fun little addition. They don't have any sort of wash. They're very plain, as you would expect from blind bag figures. And so all in all, you'll get 10 pieces in this blind bag, and there's no stand like there traditionally would be, as they all have little peg holes in the bottom, so you couldn't use a stand with them. So I chose this one particularly to review and talk about. Here's the code if you want it, because I think it's very interesting that Mega Construx chose to go in this direction with blind bags and to finally give us more accessibility to these infection forms. In previous times, they had been very rare, and all the flood, of course, were marked up highly on the aftermarket. It's been very difficult to get them traditionally, and the infection forms, you could get maybe 5 at a time, sometimes with the carrier forms, but that would be about it. So now they've given us this way where there's going to be a huge, massive amount of them going into the aftermarket or going into collections. And what I think is interesting is that they really stabilized the price of them here. So if you pay $3 and you get nothing else, no stands, nothing, well, then you're going to get 5 infection forms at $3, so it costs about 60 cents, unless you can find them on discount somewhere. So 60 cents per infection form, that's a lot lower than it is traditionally for the older models. And this new model has more detail, but it depends whether or not you like the sizing, as these figures can be seen as pretty big. For reference, I'm going to pull out a UNSC Marine here. And as you can see, the infection form, I think, has a good size ratio compared to the Marine, but it's bigger than the old ones, so that's something to keep in mind. Now we're going to go over quickly the Clash in the Ring series. As you can see, the flood infection forms are a rare in the series, and there are only 3 of them for every 32 bags. Essentially, it's every case. So they're rare and probably will be scalped, and as you've seen on the aftermarket probably already, these bags probably go anywhere between $8 and $11 for these 5 infection forms. So I just thought it was interesting, being a collector in the Halo Mega Construx community, Mega Bloks community, that Mega Bloks decided to release so many infection forms, because 1, I think it's good for the price of them, as long as they're not all scalped, which is definitely something to worry about since they're rare. But 2, I mean, it's making it easier for people to make now flood mocks or create big collections, and standardization of using Mega Construx versus just Mega Bloks and Mega Construx in for a mock, for example, if that matters to someone. For me, for example, if I use Mega Construx flood infection forms, I would want to use them only throughout something like a display, rather than mix up the 2, because it doesn't make sense in my mind why they'd look different. Something else to go over as we're talking about the flood and in the collecting community, I think it's very interesting that they didn't make the infection form a common. I think because they did 3 of the same armor Spartan in this series, they should have replaced one of the common ones for the flood infection form, and for a rare, they could have had a flood combat form in the new articulation. I think that would have been for the best for sure, because the infection forms are obviously more abundant than the combat forms, so that would add a lot more of them into the market, and the ratio would be proportional per case as to what you would want into army build. But also, I think everybody wants new flood. The old flood are very, very expensive on, say, eBay, for example, and they're hard to get. But also, we'd love to see them updated and to be able to use them and create Halo 1 mocks, because now we basically have all the pieces we need. We have a great Elite, we have a great Grunt and a Marine, we have some Spartans, which we may or may not need. You could just be using Master Chief, for example, or maybe this kind of lime green one could be the very basic one that you like to use. The silver one's great. But I think the colors were so limited for that Spartan anyway that we definitely could have just seen more flood, and I think people would have appreciated that, because we all like to collect lots of enemies, because if you have too many heroes, then the good guys will always be a little overpowered. So that's all for today. Just wanted to talk about the flood. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Did they do the wrong thing releasing the flood as a rare? Do you like that the prices may be lower in the future for the flood? Or hopefully, let me know if you've been able to find many. For me, I found a couple cases that were scalped of them until I finally found 3 bags so I could get some. And now they'll be in my collection permanently. with that, happy hunting, collectors, and I'll see you in the next one.